the invasion of Spain. Everybody's got the big issue with the invasion of Spain. But now they've run into a problem. You can't dare criticize Israel. You can't dare criticize or even mention anything to do with Israel, and yet there's Israel's fingerprints all over this invasion, and they're not even denying it. They're openly celebrating it. They're openly admitting it. And then you dig back into the headlines, and you can go back a couple years. Israel's been pushing for this for years. And you could even make the case, and I've got the video here, that Netanyahu has been threatening Spain for months. Could that be a result? But they don't dare touch that. Oh, no. We're not going to dare mention that, even though it's everywhere. And so now there's this big moment, and they don't know what to do. And they're either going to fall all over themselves and trip all over themselves and ignore the elephant in the room again, or they're going to drop this and not cover it. Or, and I do believe that this is the third thing that I'm actually starting to see a lot of. And this is why sometimes you got to be patient, and sometimes you can't assume the worst about people. There are many people today that would have ignored the Israel influence over many issues, whether that's our foreign policy or the invasion of Spain. They would always ignore the Israel issue for whatever reason. There's different reasons why they may have ignored that issue, but they've always ignored it. This one is so big. This one is so obvious. The elephant in the room just took a gigantic dump. They can't avoid it now. And for many of these political commentators, specifically on the right, that have been avoiding the Israel issue at every turn, it's now become so unavoidable that I think this one might actually open their eyes, open their minds, and break the camel's back that, oh, I'm not allowed to talk about it, because the Israelis are celebrating it, they're pushing it, and they're going all the way with it. So it becomes indefensible now. So if you believe in the security of borders, if you're out here standing up for Spain's border security, well, then you have to point out how the Israelis are celebrating its depletion. You have to call out how the Israelis are saying it's time for Spain to give up Morocco. It's time for the Moroccans to invade. Uh-oh. Whoa. Telling you, this is going to break a lot of those camels' backs, folks. This one is too big. It's too obvious. And anybody that doesn't want to look like a total fraud and a total phony cannot ignore the Israel angle here. It is unignorable. And if you're going to ignore it here, then you're not serious about border security. And you never were. And you were probably never serious about anything. So this is a big moment. Believe me, this is a big, big moment right now, specifically with right-wing border hawks that want to ignore the Israel angle. And now they're watching the Israelis celebrate the destruction of Europe's borders and Spain's borders. Major eye-opener. Major eye-opener. Now, I don't know if I want to get too conspiracy theory out of the gates here, so maybe I'll hold off on this. But I do have a conspiracy theory as to why all of this is happening right now. But let's just get to the presentation. Let's just get to the evidence. So this was just a couple weeks ago, and we did play this on the show at the time. Netanyahu threatening Spain. You may recall that. He said Spain defamed the IDF, and they repeatedly oppose Israel. I cannot tolerate this hostility without paying them an immediate price. So that was a couple weeks ago. Netanyahu threatened Spain. Now, let's go back to a couple years ago, because this has been ongoing for a while, and this is really when the tension began. Spain denied port of call to ship carrying arms to Israel. Now, we're talking about the Strait of Gibraltar that Spain has most of the control of because of those two cities at the northern tip of Morocco, which is on the southern side of the Strait of Gibraltar. And again, this is so important, guys. Don't forget what Israel is doing in southern Italy, trying to take control of that strait. Don't forget why America is fighting Iran in the Strait of Hormuz. And don't forget that in the Epstein emails, they talk about how they're going to control all the shipping lanes, and that's how they make their money. So it is not a coincidence that all of these things are happening in the most important shipping lanes in that region of the world. It's not a coincidence. And it's not a coincidence that Israel is pulling the strings so that they can control all of these shipping ports. So this is really when it began with Spain. And they said, we don't want to be a part of your war. We're not going to let you bring weapons in that you're going to use to murder innocent women and children. So we're not going to be a part of this. So Israel started cooperating with Morocco. Morocco allows Israeli warship to dock after Spain refused. It continues. Morocco's unexpected solution to Spain's anti-Semitism. Oh, because Spain didn't want to accept Israeli warships and weapons. That's considered anti-Semitism. So Israel teamed up with Morocco to continue the movement of their weapons through the Strait of Gibraltar. And so now Israel has its eyes on the Strait, Israel has its eyes on Spain, and they're working with Morocco to get their will done. It continues. Abraham Accords reach the Strait. How Israel can help Morocco reclaim its north. U.S.-Spain tensions over NATO, Iran create opening for Morocco to press claims on Quito and Melilla, which Israel positioned to back rabbit diplomatically within U.S.-led alliance that increasingly favors cooperative partners over European holdouts. Let me translate that for you. Israel, Morocco, and the U.S. are working deals to get around the NATO and European countries that control these straits. And that's why they're trying to take Morocco. It is literally for Israel. Just like Venezuela, just like Iran, just like everything else. And that's why they spend so much money on our politics, guys, in case you haven't figured it out. Just in case you haven't. We're not done. Yair Netanyahu, 2019. Dear Arabs and Muslims, want to free occupied Arab Islamic lands? Here's a good start. And look at what he points out. Right here's the Strait of Gibraltar. And he's pointing out all these lands that the Arabs and Muslims need to take back from Spain. Isn't that amazing? Simply incredible. And of course, this is their attempt to distract people so that Israel can take Palestine, and they want to send all the Muslims to take back land from Spain while they take Palestine. And then Israel, of course, is working with these Muslims. And so when it's all said and done, they will control the straits. And that's what it's all about. And this plan has been in the works for years. Here's another Israeli news source, Channel 14. It's time Spain explains to the world why it still maintains colonial enclaves in Africa. Israel's ambassador to the UN, Danny Danon. And Danon has been all over this, saying, yep, we're taking this back from Spain. Yep, we're going to help the Muslims take this back from Spain. We're going to help Morocco take this back from Spain. So where are all you MAGA border hawks? Where are all you MAGA people that are screaming and shouting and crying and sharing all the videos of the invasion? And now here's Israel claiming ownership of it, supporting it, and backing it. And where are you? Why are you silent, cowards? Why are you silent, cowards? Why are you silent, frauds? They're admitting it. It's not even a conspiracy theory. It's from their own damn mouths. Now, I don't want to go way back into the history of this, but naturally, you go down the rabbit hole, you'll find it. You know, this has been going on apparently for hundreds of years and centuries. The Jews that opened the gates of Toledo. So obviously, the Strait of Gibraltar has been a major power point for much of human civilization, and it's been fought with and fought over by Jews, by Muslims, and by Catholics for centuries. For centuries. And eventually Spain, the Catholics, were able to settle these points on the northern point of Morocco, and those have been Spanish country lands for hundreds of years. But Jews and Muslims and Catholics have been fighting over these lands in the Strait of Gibraltar forever, and it ultimately, for the last couple hundred years, has been controlled by the Catholics and by the Muslims. So now the Jews are moving back in, and they're opening the gates of the Muslims into the Catholic lands. They want the Muslims to invade the Catholic lands, destroy the Catholic lands, and then eventually Israel's going to take control of the strait. That's their plan. And apparently this has been going on for centuries and centuries and centuries, but I don't want to get too much into the ancient history here. But what do you know about Andre Azoulay? The senior advisor to the king of Morocco. He's been around for decades. Do you know about him? Do you want to know about him? Do I even have to say it about him? Maybe you can look into him yourself. But where do you think his loyalties lie? And you know what? I'll leave that one for you to find out. I think it's obvious, but let's just say this. He's the lead advisor to the king of Morocco, and he's not a Muslim, and he's not a Christian either. Here's more from Israeli media. Helping Morocco recover Quito and Melilla would serve that framework and punish a NATO member that has repeatedly chosen obstruction over partnership at the alliance's most critical juncture. For Israel, amplifying Morocco's claim is not charity. It is a strategic investment in the partner that across the Strait of Gibraltar holds the key to one of the world's most vital maritime choke points. And all of the Israeli influencers on X are saying the same thing. I could pull up hundreds of these examples. I really don't want to waste your time with all of them today, but you know, Dr. Eli David, I mean, you name it. They're all saying it's time for Morocco to take Spain. And isn't it ironic? Isn't it ironic that all these people, they'll shout and scream and cry, Muslims, Islam, Muslims, Islam, Muslims, Islam. And then they support the Muslims taking Christian land. And then they support the Muslims taking Catholic land. And then they support the Muslims more than they support the Christians. Isn't that amazing? Wow. Wow. And by the way, they know this is undeniable. And that's why the Telegraph has this headline today. The left is blaming the border breach on an Israeli-American-Moroccan pact to punish Spain for its pro-Gaza policy, while the right sees it as the start of an attempted annexation of Quito. So they act like this isn't going on. It's like, oh, people are just making this up. What are you talking about? We're all watching this happen. I mean, is it even worth making an analogy? It's like we're all sitting in a football stadium and we just watched the visiting team score a touchdown. And it would be like the announcer saying, well, everybody here thinks they scored a touchdown. Everybody here seems to think that the visitors scored a touchdown. Meanwhile, the visitors are in the end zone dancing and the referee's got his arms in the air saying touchdown. And the announcer's like, gee, why does everybody in here think it's a touchdown? What's going on, man? I don't know. He just spiked the ball in the end zone and the ref called it a touchdown and there's 6 points on the board. It's like, oh man, why do they think a touchdown happened here? But it's not just the left. Everybody sees this. Any honest person sees this. On the right, on the left, it doesn't matter. Any honest person sees this and sees the overwhelming evidence that this is exactly what's going on. Now, I'll get into the kind of higher, maybe conspiracy theory in a minute, but it's undeniable that that's what's going on. I mean, it's ridiculous to pretend like that's not what's going on.